Hey everyone, welcome to my second cooking video. And first of all, I want to thank everyone for the great response to that first one. I got over 200 views and a bunch of likes and some comments. So thanks again, and I'm going to keep doing some more of these. I hope you guys enjoy them. And if you do like it, please subscribe to my channel, and that way, and also hit that notifications button, because Lord knows we all need at least one more annoying pop-up on our phone to to let us know that we've got some non-important message or something. So yeah, hit that notification button, and you can follow my Facebook and my Instagram, and I'll be posting there when I upload. So I was trying to figure out what to do next for a recipe, and I figured first of all I should probably cook something, because all I did last time was make some dough, and this is a cooking channel. And I was trying to figure out some recipes, and had a few ideas, and but then I went to the farmer's market yesterday, and they had these beautiful, beautiful squash blossoms. Here, take a look at those, and these are just gorgeous, beautiful squash blossoms. They're very seasonal. You're not going to find them in the supermarket typically, because they're very perishable as well. And when you find them, you're going to find they're either going to have a stem on them like this, or they're going to have a little zucchini at the end. And that's actually when the fruit is growing. This is the female. This is the male. I know you kind of think the one with the little thingy on it would be the male, but no, that's the female. And these are the male. They're both fine for cooking from a flavor standpoint, so no issues there. And the typical way you've probably seen these served is stuffed. They'll be slit open. They'll be stuffed maybe with some ricotta cheese. I like to do them with a little mozzarella and a piece of anchovy. And then they'll be dipped in some batter and deep fried. And you'll find those at a lot of Italian restaurants, especially this time of year in the summer. But I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to make some zucchini fritters, which is another common Italian dish in the summer. People will gather the flowers and they'll make these little fritters. So that's what we're going to do today. So I've already, I've got kind of the ingredients right here, and we've got some zucchini flowers that I've already cleaned. Let me show you how to clean one of these. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your zucchini flower, and we're going to, just with a paring knife, we're going to slit open the leaf, and then inside there's this little stamen here. We're going to rip that off, and then we're going to take the flower off, and we're going to peel off these little stem thingies. Can you see those? Little stem. Yeah, let's get that. So we got that all cleaned off, and those are all cleaned. So the ingredients for this dish are, we've got our zucchini flower, we've got 1 egg, we've got some basil leaves, maybe 5 or 6, we've got a 1/2 cup of flour, we've got a 1/2 cup of milk. I'm going to start by only using a 1/4 cup, but this is one of those batters where you want to check the consistency as you go, so we might use some extra. And then a teaspoon of baking powder, and that just kind of lightens up the dough a little bit. Alrighty, so let's get this going. We're going to put our bowl up there, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with our wet ingredients. So we're going to take the 1 egg, and like I said, about a 1/4 cup of milk, that's about a 1/4 cup. We're going to whisk that up. We're We're going to dump the just dump the baking powder right into the flour there. Give that a little mix. And now we're going to whisk in the flour a little bit at a time. And we'll just whisk that until it gets nice and smooth. See, now that looks a little too thick for me. So I'm going to add a little bit more milk, maybe 1/8 of a cup. You want this about the thickness of like a thick pancake batter. There, that looks better. All right. So we've got our batter there. We're going to put that aside. Then we're going to take our basil, and we're just going to chiffonade. That's a nice term, isn't it? And all that really means is cutting it into strips. And what we're going to do is we're just going to stack all these up like this. Grab a bigger knife. We're just going to fold those over. And there's our chiffonade. Those are nice little basil slices. We're going to toss those into our bowl with our batter. And now we're just going to chop up these zucchini flowers a bit. Now you're not looking for a fine, mince here. Just get them chopped up so they're in small pieces. That looks pretty good. And now we're going to take those and add those to our batter as well. Then we're going to season it with some salt and pepper. And here's some pepper. And we're going to stir it up. And I'm going to use a spoon for this instead of the whisk because everything will get caught in the whisk. So we're just going to stir this until everything's all mixed in. You know what? That still looks a little thick to me. I'm going to add just a couple drops more of that milk. And again, you can play around with this. If you like them thicker, you can use less milk. If you want them thinner. Okay, so there's our batter for the fritters. Now we're going to cook these up. So I've got a pan here heating up with some olive oil in it. Probably maybe a 1/4 cup, a little bit more, maybe 1/3 of a cup. You want about a 1/4 inch of oil in the pan. And you're going to let that get nice and hot. And if you've got a cast iron skillet like I've got here, this is the perfect time to break it out. I've also set up a tray with a wire rack in it to basically to cool these when they come out. You can use paper towels on a plate if you've got a wire rack. I like them because then as they cool, the bottom won't get too soggy. Sometimes if you put them on paper towels, they still tend to get a little bit soggy. But and you want to make sure this oil is nice and hot. One way to test it is to just take a little drop of your batter and see that started sizzling right away. So that's actually right about where we want the temperature. So that's good. So all we're gonna do, we got that batter nice, that oil nice and hot in the pan. We're just going to take a spoon and we're just going to start spooning little portions of these right into our pan. You don't want to overcrowd it because you don't want the oil temperature to start to drop too much. So we're just going to do 4 for now. And we're just going to let those basically cook until they start to brown on the bottom. And it's going to cook kind of like a pancake batter. So it's going to start to get opaque at the top a little bit as these cook. You're going to see little bubbles form. If you've ever cooked pancakes, it's basically the same, the same concept. So we're just going to continue to let those fry. And then we're going to flip them and fry the other side. They don't take too long. And these are a great little snack. If you're having like a light lunch, you can serve them with a side salad. If you are having a dinner party, you can make these up as a sort of part of your, first course or antipasto if you're doing an Italian dinner. So I think, let's see, let's take a look underneath one of these. Almost ready to flip. That one's ready. So I'm going to take that, flip that over. See how nice and golden brown that is there? That's what we're looking for. And you can see how these still puffed up a little bit and are still kind of thick. And that's from the baking powder helped do that. And that's why I was thinning out the batter a little bit, because I didn't want them to be even thicker than this. You could if you want, and they'd be even thicker, but I like it about like this. So we're going to flip the rest of these. We're going to let those finish cooking. We're going to let them get nice and golden on the bottom, and then we're just going to put them on the rack and let them cool off a little bit. We're going to salt them, again, a little bit more as soon as they come right out. When you're frying food, you want to salt it as soon as it comes out, because then the salt will stick. Otherwise, as it cools and it gets that sort of crispy crust, salt just bounces right off. So if you have any requests for dishes that you want to see me make, put them in the comments, because I know a lot of you are familiar with my cooking and have been over for dinner. Some of you haven't. But yeah, if you have any recipes that you'd like to request, let me know and we'll put them on the list. Okay, so these are probably just about done. Let's take a look here. Now, a little bit longer for that one. There we go. That one's done. So I'll put that on here. That. Move that over here. We'll get the rest of the batter in there. Looks like I've got enough for maybe 2 more. That's the chef's right there, a little mini one. That's the one I'm going to eat. Okay, this one's probably done. Yep. Oops. Like I said, we're going to hit those with a little bit more salt. Not a lot. Let these finish cooking. The basil in there just gives it a nice, the zucchini blossoms are pretty mild in flavor. And the basil, for some reason, just complements them wonderfully. So that just gives it a nice additional flavor note when you cook these things. So the basil in there is really nice. So, that's why we chop the basil in. You could probably use other herbs if you want. I wouldn't use, like, oregano is going to be too strong. The basil just has that little bit of sweetness to it, which really complements the mild flavor of the zucchini and gives it a little more flavor than just what you've got in the zucchini flowers. So we're going to check these again. That one's ready to go. You can see these are cooking a little faster. The oil always continues to heat a little bit as we go. But and these are almost done. We're going to check the bottoms here a little bit longer. We want to make sure, because again they're kind of puffy, we want to make sure they're cooked all the way through. So we're just going to let those sit a little longer. And you know, again, if you've got a farmer's market nearby, these tend to go early because people look for these. I knew a restaurant owner who, at our farmer's market, he would literally go first thing in the morning, and sometimes if someone had a big box of these, he'd buy them all for his restaurant, and you'd be done. And I actually had to tell the produce guy, hey, would you hold, you know, a dozen or you know, 2 dozen aside for me, and he would sometimes do that for me. But again, it's a seasonal thing. You're not going to find them other than in the summer. You're probably not going to find them in your grocery store because they're very perishable. So if you can find them, and I might do the recipe one time where we stuff them and fry them, just so you can see how that's done. But this is something different, and your friends, you know, a lot of people won't have had these. So these look done. We're going to pull those out. That one's the chef's. Put that on that paper towel right there. And we're going to give this a try. It's probably going to be too hot, but we'll give it a try. No, perfect. It's got like it's an eggy kind of batter, fluffy. It's got that little mild flavor from the zucchini, from the basil. They're just really tasty. So enjoy, give them a try. You saw it's not that hard. You just mix together a bunch of stuff and throw them in a frying pan. So, and you've got yourself a really nice appetizer to serve your friends at a dinner party. Delicious. Thanks, everyone. Still working on these. So if you have comments or suggestions, please let me know. Take care. Ciao.